With Leshrac, of course, that does give them a lot of push potential, a lot of team fight potential as well, and it gives them great control on the troll if he does stay still a bit too long. So you have good ways of controlling that hero down. I'm curious to see what else they pick here. Is that going to be a core Lesh, a support Lesh? Are they going to be ditching? Are they going to be going for any bigger team fight combinations, as it's not quite as strong as having Disruptor on your side? The Static Storm is just way too much to deal with in certain situations. So Newbee, their team fight still looking a bit wonky in terms of control. I'd like to see a bit more coming out. Perhaps the offlane pick is going to be coming out here. They do go with the Axe, so there you go. That's a great team fight controller to have. It gives him a good way to start these fights. Excellent against a Troll Warlord. Just blink in, call, have the Blade Mail on. Troll's probably going to bash himself to death. If not, you can just call him down. I like this pick coming out from Newbee. It's a bit worrisome, though, because you're jumping in against a Disruptor. You could just easily get glimpsed back.
That was my problem here with what Newbee's picking up. Like, the Disruptor third pick was there. They already had the Mirana. Fair enough, they couldn't change that. Then they went into a Leshrac, who depends on being close to get all that damage out. And then they picked up an Axe, who also depends on being close. There's a lot of control here from CDEC in just that one pick, let alone the rest of them that they already have in the Lena Centaur. And while the Axe does seem pretty good up against the Troll Warlord, I don't know if this draft from Newbee is going to work. Assuming the Disruptor does his job and does it well, I can't imagine, at least for now, that this Newbee draft is going to be the way to go.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be a very hard Axe game to go into. You still have ways of working it, but it's a bit wonky. You have to always get that jump in, and if possible, you have to aim for that Disruptor along with the Troll. Obviously, you want to jump that Troll with the Axe every single time. It's going to be a hard ask. For the most part, we have seen Disruptors really space themselves out well. And as we mentioned earlier, it's a key hero in the Chinese scene. It's not something that really dips out. A lot of teams do go back to it as needed. And so I do have a lot of confidence in CDEC actually counteracting that Axe, but perhaps the last pick is going to be really tying this draft together for Newbee. They need a stronger presence here. They have good momentum in that early game. Ogre Magi, Murano, Leshrac doesn't take too much gold to start melting towers. The Axe needs a bit more investment. You want the Blink, you want the Blade Mail, and you want maybe a Vanguard up if you're going to go farming. But it definitely does start to pick up pace past 10 minutes. You can really see these guys start melting the towers. They just need something to really tie it together, give them a way of starting these fights without depending on Axe blinking in, because it's just a massive risk. Unfortunately, all the common POS ones have been banned out, and the Troll's already on CDEC. What exactly they're going to go for next is going to be interesting. Whether or not it's going to be a mid or safe lane, because you can run that Lesh on safe if needed, or the Mirana core, which we haven't seen as much. But it's going to be interesting. Newbee, their draft is definitely out there. It's not very similar to the drafts we've seen throughout the qualifiers, for sure. It's a bit of a shakeup. But CDEC also shook it up with their opening, and of course they're going back to that Troll, which hasn't been as common as well.
Well, Newbee, final pick. We'll see if this final pick turns around this draft a little bit. They'll go for the DP. Fair enough. I think that's maybe a little bit better, right? Because you've got the Exorcism now, so generally speaking, CDEC probably won't enjoy jumping into the Exorcism, even if they get a nice Static Storm off. So I don't mind this this Death Prophet pick. That being said, though, the DP isn't the strongest hero in this meta right now. It still suits the draft, though. It offers that that added push with the Leshrac. I think it was probably the best way Newbee could have finished, and CDEC will also kind of respond with a Pugna pickup now, so their own form of push is there. And after those last picks, I would say maybe the drafts have evened out a little bit. I still lean towards CDEC. It is ultimately going to be about how these players play their roles and the strategy they're going to be following, so we can't exactly say that one team's just outright won, but I would dare say CDEC is probably still a little bit ahead in their draft.
I'd agree. I think the Pugna against DP is not the easiest time for the DP. Granted, you should be able to bully out the Pugna if he missteps, but as the game goes on, your push is just going to be counteracted by the constant aggression that could come out from Pugna. It's much easier for Pugna to push consistently. DP has to play with that massive cooldown and Exorcism. Newbee, of course, is a team we have seen run this a lot. We've seen AQ play this hero a ton. So I'm sure they're very familiar with that timing. They can play around it, get a fight, transition into a Tower of the Exorcist. That's going to be the name of the game for Newbee. They've got to do that consistently. CDEC, they can afford to really not care about these kinds of timings as much. You have a Pugna, all they need to do is drop that Nether Blast. It melts towers fast. All you really have to do as CDEC is buy time for Eve to farm up, depending on what he's going for. If you go for the Battle Fury or the Midas, you are going to be slowing down. That does mean the troll needs some time to farm up, build up the items, and then start taking these fights. The key thing for CDEC that their lineup is kind of wonky with is EXP. All of these heroes need good EXP, especially in that Pos 5 Disruptor. Victoria is going to need a pretty good build up towards the level 6. That's going to be a crucial timing for CDEC to take these fights. If Newbee constantly applies that pressure, and they're not relying on big level 6s outside of that exorcism. All of these heroes come in line fairly quick in terms of their skill set. They can really shut these lanes down, to force these early team fights while the Disruptor isn't quite ready and while the Troll is still farming up. So there's a window there where Newbee can really take over this game. Whether or not they push that envelope is another question.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll get into it. First game of the day. This is the first game of a best-of-3 lower bracket final. Of course, winner of this will go up against IG in the grand final, which is going to be a best-of-5. And unfortunately, the loser will just be out of the qualifiers. There's no chances after this. So we'll see who can get that one-game lead going into this BO3. More importantly, what lanes are going to be run, as AQ looks to be going up against XM on the Pugna, which is, I guess that was probably the most obvious lane. Fonte going to be on that position 1 Leshrac, and he'll have Faith as support. Of course, YG going to be there on the Mirana as well. And, well, everything else is fairly standard. 1, 2, 3 on the Centaur, James on the Lena. Of course, you have the position 1 Eve, Troll, Warlord. And I imagine Newbee may just attempt for a first blood, as they do have a Mirana, Faith, and Leshrac right there. See if they can land that initial arrow, though.
It's going to be a bit rough. If they can land it, that's pretty big, but they don't really have an easy setup, and they don't quite have the vision. It's going to be a rough time. I'm curious about Fonte on the safely in Lesh. We don't see that too often nowadays. It definitely was a thing before, of course, but it's a bit rough, especially since you got that Ogre Magi. You don't really have anyone to Bloodlust besides maybe the Mirana and arguably the Axe if you go for the talent at, I believe it's 20, yeah, attacks, proc, counter helix. So you have a way of building off of that with the Ogre. Otherwise, as the game goes on, that emphasis on Bloodlust isn't going to be as big because you don't really have a target for that.
That's a fair point. I suppose at the very least it gives them that added movement speed, so I mean the Lesh and DP do really enjoy that extra movement speed they get with the Bloodlust. That's really all they're getting though. Until you get the Ags up on DP, and maybe you could make the argument that it changes, but until then we'll see. It's top lane, it looks like YG has left. He has gone down to the bot lane where he'll be up against the Disruptor of Victoria. And they'll try to shut down Eve the best they can. I mean, the beauty about this Axe Mirana lane as well, if they do land an arrow, Wizard gets a very, very easy call on Eve, which could lead to a very easy kill. So we'll see if YG does attempt to throw those arrows out without the setup. In fact, he just does, though he misses on Victoria. So Victoria will be able to walk away. But I meant on the Troll Warlord, obviously.
Yeah, that's the primary target for this lane, of course. It is going to be a bit of a rough time. Out of all the safe lane carries to go against the Axe, Troll's probably one of the ones really geared up to do that well, switching into ranged as needed, going up to melee if it's safe. And it's not going to be an easy time for Wizard. We've seen this guy do a lot of work in the game so far, but he's already copying so much damage from this lane.
He might just be dead. They don't actually make the chase, which is intriguing because that did look like it was just going to be an easy death, but he does get the call for the bonus armor. He'll walk away and salve up, and I suppose they were just afraid of YG and what the Mirana was up to. YG was just farming the jungle at the time, though, trying to get that solo XP while he can. It looks like YG will also go down to the mid lane, although top lane, 1, 2, 3, on the Centaur falling very low to the Diabolic Edict of Fonte. He will salve up, though. He'll be perfectly fine. But that's really not a great lane to be up against here. The Leshrac Ogre. Like, once you Fire Blast, Fonte walks in with the Diabolic Edict. And it is quite painful even if you are as tanky as the Centaurs.
It definitely is, especially early on. If your wave is pushed in, you're going to be copying so much of that damage. You can't really counteract it.
As we were talking about that, YG does find the first blood. Got a double damage, went for an easy kill on the Disruptor. And the Disruptor is a rather slow hero, and YG has leaps to catch up with. So, pretty easy pick off for the first blood. Newbee going to be happy with that as they throw an arrow out mid lane. And they do find the Pugner. A great arrow at that on XM, and that's going to be another kill. AQ will pick that one up, and that was just a fantastic arrow from YG.
Yeah, YZ has been doing a lot of work here. Already level 3, the rotations have been on point. They lose their axe, but the Mirana is giving so much space right now across the map. I'm not sure you're going to be minding that too much. CDEC, they already lost their ward in their jungle. They need a way to counteract these rotations. Looks like XM will drop the ward right behind his tier 1, so there is a bit more vision. It's going to be harder for YC to land those arrows.
Yeah, as you say that, he does walk into that observer ward range. The XM going to be well aware now the Mirana is back in the mid, but he's got to watch out for the arrow and barely avoids it. Would have been disastrous had it connected again. With that, perhaps YG will just leave him alone for a bit. Maybe not though, he's still in that mid lane range. Looks like he might just go try and farm up the jungle a bit, and yeah, that's exactly what he does. That's really the beauty of this position for Mirana. Is you could just walk into the jungle and find a big creep in the neutrals like that for really no cost.
Yeah, it's usually at the cost of lanes, but you've got really strong laners so far that it doesn't really matter. They might find a kill on Victoria as well, really aggressive.
Yeah, he just rotates in. Nice call there from Wizard, and well, he's not getting very lucky with the spins. In fact, he does finally find the kill with the right click, but Eve will find the trade, and now YG going to be chased down. Eve doesn't have the slow access to throw out, so he'll leave it at that. I doubt you'd say that's worthwhile, though, for Newbee. Like, killing Victoria is nice, not at the cost of losing your axe, though.
Definitely not, especially since the axe kill did go to Eve on that pause 1 troll, so he's going to be a bit happy about that. It's been a rough bot lane. That is the cost of having that Mirana in the jungle. You do shaft one of the lanes. This case, it's going to be Wizard's lane, and he's been struggling on the axe. It's not been the most impressive. He's 12 to 3, not typical,
Arrow.
although nice arrow.
Once again, Static Storm, well, not Static Storm, but Kinetic Field's going to be there, but they got the call off, and they will get the kill. And that Kinetic Field, I mean, he had to place it there to get it off in time, but it just wasn't going to stop the call. And Victoria now will at least try and secure that bounty rune. Arrow will miss from YG. He'll walk out of there. That'll be a 2-4 now. Newbee in the lead in terms of kills. CDEC still hold a slight net worth lead though, so it's still a very, very even game. As when you look at the other lanes, looks like AQ has left the mid lane now and is going towards the bot. Meanwhile, Fonte falls very low on the Leshrac, but he'll be alright as well. And yeah, they're actually going to go for a kill attempt here onto Eve. They've got the haste on AQ. There's the Spirit Vessel coming in with the Exorcism. And with that call, you have James there to try and help out, but it's all too late. Now they go for even more AQ, another Spirit Siphon up, and well, they actually find AQ. XM with the kill on the Pugner, now Wizard. He does get James, but it may be at the cost of his own life as XM is continuing the chase. They don't have Glimpse though yet. They get the decrep off. Kinetic Field will also connect XM. Nether Blast, Life Drain. Call is there from Blizzard. It's not going to be enough to survive though. Great rotations from CDEC to punish. They still lose Eve, but they find 2 massive pickups in return.
Not only that, but they also managed to have Newbee waste that Exorcism. We talked about that being key to the timing for Newbee. They're not going to have that spell up for a while. They didn't manage to clear a tower out. Not the most effective use of that spell so far. But AQ is going to be active in the map, trying to find something to do.
He's going to go back up top. 1, 2, 3 is the one getting pinged as they do go on. In fact, there's 4 heroes here. Arrow connects as well from YG. They'll pick up an easy kill onto 1, 2, 3, and it looks like they are still going to try and force in that top tier 1 tower without the Exorcism. And with 4 heroes here, you can definitely do this. It's just not going to be as easy, but they'll use the siege creep. Faith's going to tank all the tier 1 hits for the team. In fact, he will de-aggro as the new creep wave comes. But with that siege creep, with the edict, they can do a lot of damage. Not quite enough to take it down as AQ does back off into the mid lane where the T1's been lost. Eve just rotated on the T1 tower in the mid and just took it out.
I like seeing this from CDEC. They realize that there's an opening they can abuse. Eve was left alone in that mid lane to really just farm up. He takes out that tier 1. And you can't underestimate how much damage a troll can do. Fervor, it just builds up really fast in towers. You can melt them quite fast. Up top now, they might get killed onto that Fate Ogre.
Yeah, Fate stunned up with the LSA. They got the split out there. Arrow connecting on the Disruptor as well. And YG, he'll come in. They're still going to go though. Newbee, they want to be the ones chasing, and Victoria is going to be an easy target. And it looks like the rest of CDEC just were not interested in pursuing any further. Can't really blame them. They don't really have level 6 on their supports yet. Even 123 doesn't have level 6. As he's going to get ganked up, or James rather, getting chased down. Shrine will be popped. And looks like that'll be the end of that for Newbee. They'll just return back up to that top tier 1 and try to push in the tower once again.
They do have Exorcism back up, so they can take this fight and the tower if they play their cards right. CDEC, they're going to be in a rough spot to defend this one.
They really are. They won't pop the Exorcism, it'll just be the Edict, and they won't get the Deny off. They are going to try and get the Leshrac though. Fonte, he does get taken out. Eve even rotating in and picking up the kill on the Troll. And with that, Eve, he may just decide to start pushing in that top tier 1 himself now.
Yeah, it should be a really fast push coming out. AQ is hanging around. He still has the Exo, but it's going to be rough when you don't have backup.
Yeah, I doubt he pops it without anyone there. He probably understands he has to leave this tier 1 tower. Definitely not the trade you wanted. Considering they lost that mid tier 1 so early to Eve, and now giving away another top tier 1 tower, it's going to open up that dire jungle way too much for CDEC to abuse. And it looks like they're going to head down bot. It's certainly not going to have the same effect though as XM. Going to move forward onto Wizard. Life Drain though. Arrow from YG does connect, and now Wizard gets a double core, double split earth as well, and just dunk them both. And Wizard will walk away dancing. And now they can certainly open up that T1 bot tower.
Yeah, that's a really big set of kills going to this Axe. Speeds up his progression towards that Blink, which is going to be pivotal for Newbee to take these fights. He's just about 1,000 gold away, 1,200 gold away. And once that's up, Wizard's going to be so much more active in the map.
Yeah, he's not even backing off to the fountain yet. He really just wants to keep farming up the jungle. That is exactly what he'll do with barely any HP. Though to be fair, CDEC haven't really been roaming too much, so Wizard doesn't have too much to be afraid of yet. Apart from those neutrals, which are dropping him quite low. He's on 40 HP now, but he'll be okay. He's really jungling quite well and quite efficiently. While he's doing that, his team is still down at the bot lane. They finally get to that tier 1 where they pop the Edict, and that tier 1 is definitely going down. CDEC appear to be just trying to force in the tier 2 top tower now.
Yeah, it's not going to be as fast, but they do have XM's Pugna around as well, so they could drop it fairly quick with the man pool they have right now.
That's exactly what they start doing. Stampede going to be on cooldown for 123, so he won't have that option if they need to disengage. Moonlight Shadow will come out, and CDEC, they do not want a part of it. Though XM places the Nether Ward, but it is in vision, so they'll get rid of that. Faith still looking for a Fire Blast attempt. He'll find XM on the Pugna. 123 now, looking to see if he has to go back in. He needs 8 seconds for that Stampede. They go for the Decrep on the Ogre, and now the glimpse back onto Fonte. Hoof Stomp is there. Static Storm as well. It's still too much damage, but no. 123, he finds the kill. Now James going quite low, but he does throw the Lagoon out before he goes down. And AQ still finds the kill regardless. They'll find XM on the Pugna as well, and Newbee. I mean, although they're losing objectives faster than they're taking them, they are finding the team fights and the kills. That's going to make it a 6-13, and they do swing the net worth lead their way.
Yeah, that's a pretty massive win for Newbee. They take out a lot of key targets there. XM's Pugna, they take out 123 Centaur. They force out a couple of big spell usages as well, and that's going to slow down CDEC a fair bit. We aren't seeing the fastest farm on Eve as well. I mean, he's doing fantastic, but it still is like a couple of items away. The BKB should help him stand in front. and do what he has to do. It's just not coming out fast enough, but it's really not down to him. It's down to Newbee applying that pressure. They understand when they have the advantage. When that exorcism is up, they just go for these fights, and they have taken a lot of objectives off the map already. It's that mid-tier 1 that's still standing in their way, and once they have that locked in, the jungle should be much easier to dip into.
YG trying to leap out of a kinetic field. That won't work. He gets glimpsed straight away after he leaps the second time. Great setup there from Victoria. YG just sticking around way too long, trying to leap at the wrong times, and gets punished for it immediately. That's just that strength of the Disruptor. He does not care for your leap charges.
Definitely doesn't. It's a nice kill to pick up. It did go to Eve as well, so that's going to accelerate his farm a fair bit. A bit concerning to see Newbee really deep in this jungle, though. Fortunately, Eve is just not playing that game, although...
Yeah, Victoria, Call, doesn't really get there yet, but now they have the opportunity. Wizard will find it. That should be a very easy pick-off, and AQ will go ahead and pick it up with his own Crypt Swarm. So the target you wanted in Eve has rotated already. And you know what? Eve is farming very, very well, John. He's almost 2k ahead of that Death Prophet. First place in net worth. Has the Maelstrom, has the Phase Boots, and is going straight into that BKB next.
Yeah, he really needs that BKB up and running. Newbee's pressure is just really, really good right now. They smoke up. They're going to be rotating down to try to find 1, 2, 3. And that's going to be a big kill to take as well.
1, 2, 3. Looks like he is going to try for the TP. Wizard getting close and gets the call.
Oh.
The TP was much longer than anticipated. 1, 2, 3. Unfortunately tried to TP to a tower that was recently TP'd to. And it does cost him. The CDEC now smoke up as well. But they unfortunately aren't going to find anything but a double damage rune on XM.
Yeah, it's a bit of a waste, but at the same time, it does give them a lot of information. I'm not sure why they don't go for the D ward and this ward, probably just to keep their own wards hidden. Oh, they do actually go for it in the end, so they should know there are wards here on Newbee's side, and that does mean that the control being maintained by CDEC here is probably not going to be holding up for too long. I have to say, Newbee has been playing around their early advantage quite well, but CDEC's still holding out. It's less than 1k lead for Newbee, fairly even in terms of net worth. There is a timer on Newbee's side, though. You have to remember, the BKBs coming out is going to slow down the damage from Newbee. Not only that, but even the pipe coming out from 1, 2, 3 at some point is just going to mitigate a lot of that damage. They don't really have a physical hitter besides that Mirana, but it's going to take a while for WayC to really contribute in that way in these fights.
Yeah, and it's questionable as to whether he even gets there. Like, he's not really going for a right-click build, but rather utility. And so YG, not going to be dependable in that aspect. It's really going to be all on AQ and the Lesh, being played by Fonte. But again, with your point, I mean, with a pipe BKB available, it's going to be very, very tough to take down the CDEC side soon as Faith. Kinetic Field will be there, but the rotations are out immediately from Newbee. And it looks like they are on the hunt once again. This time around for James, though James will be able to back out in time. And I mean, although they are hitting their timings on the Dire's side, just giving a troll this much space, they must have a lot of faith that they can outplay Eve.
Yeah, they really are giving the guy a bit too much to play with. He's inching towards that BKB. The map isn't quite melted down yet, although we are still 16 minutes in, but you want to see at least a tier 2 or 2 falling down by the 20-minute mark from Newbee's draft. That's the key thing in their draft. It's that it pushes these towers quite fast. You need that gold advantage from the objectives. You need that map advantage from taking out those key points of control from CDEC. And they still have time to achieve that, but they've got to really apply that pressure soon because they're not gaining in net worth and they're slowly inching towards a mid-game against stronger cores.
Oh, Victoria getting chased down by Wizard. Wizard has a blink, but didn't really throw it in quite yet. He didn't want to blink into just a Disruptor, though now gets glimpsed back into the Static Storm. 1, 2, 3 there with the Hoof Stomp as well as Eve. Slows him down with the axes. But where's the next form of control? They don't hit the LSA. They get the Decrep, but it will not be enough. Newbee does back out to safety while losing absolutely nothing. And so things will return as per normal. Both teams will just get back to farming up. CDEC, I mean, they don't... they don't have a time.
You're
They don't really have a need to rush on the side of CDEC.
No, definitely not. They've got a troll that scales way better into that late game. We mentioned this from draft, but Newbee doesn't really have anything that keeps up the same pace. You lose effectivity on the Lesh rack, especially quite hard. Fonte's +1 Lesh is just not going to be as effective when magic immunity's up. The DP can still kind of keep up with the Aghanims, but it's also not quite as impressive as just the pure power of a troll right-clicking you for God knows how much. The one thing that Newbee did gain from that fight is cooldowns. They managed to force CDEC to use some big spells. They didn't have to waste anything themselves, so if they did choose to force a fight in the next minute, they're not going to have to stampede at the very least, and that will allow them to secure a kill.
Fonte with the rest of Newbee now will transition into that mid lane. Diabolic Edict in the tree line. Though CDEC don't look like they want to just allow this to happen. They are around the area. They do have a BKB and Static Storm now available. And they smoke up immediately. It's going to be a big team fight for CDEC if they do find somebody. The Wizard is currently the closest target to them. Question is, can they get close and cancel that blink off immediately? Looks like it may not be the case, though. They will finally... Maybe they don't spot him out. CDEC? Looks like they won't actually gain vision of their own jungle, and well, they'll go through the dire jungle. They'll place some wards down, and they'll actually head straight towards that mid tier 2 tower now and try to force a team fight there. Only thing is, Newbee's just taking their bot tier 2.
Yeah, it's really just gonna fall at this point. They look to try to take a trade. They are gonna take that mid tier 2 first, and their tier 2 down bot just gonna stand for a little longer, although it should be cleaned up here. Still, a bit of a wasted smoke coming out from CDEC. They're not going to be too happy about that, but the game is slowed down just a fair bit, and that is something that CDEC can take advantage of. They finally have the BKB on Eve, of course, so he's going to be safe in these fights. I want to point out as well, XM has a Dagon 1, so he's going for full burst, and I like seeing that coming out from the Pugna.
Yeah, certainly. I do as well. Radiant Courier getting caught out. That was quite a few wards and TPs, but nothing overly special. We'll have that courier back up in a couple minutes. It does seem like Newbee just are not interested in fighting at all, though. They are completely avoiding the side of CDEC. They've known where they are for quite a few minutes now. CDEC are continuously chasing them across the map. Newbee just not interested at all. They're all about objectives this game. But Eve gonna cut them off. Fonte, he'll just TP out once again. Bounty runes up. They'll grab the bottom ones. And it looks like Faith may get caught out. Although, yep, Kinetic Field will be there. There's no way for Faith to get out of this one. But that's not really a big loss for Newbee. I mean, it's just your support Ogre. He doesn't really mind dying like that. And overall, I mean, it's still 9 to 15. You're still fighting objectives if you are either side. And so, they'll just continue to play very, very conservatively.
Yeah, it's down to that courier kill from Wizard. Because of that, there's no vision coming out for CDEC, and their map is really dark except for an aggressive ward on that jungle on the right side. This means that Newbee, with their really deep wards, can really just work this map quite well, and they have. They've been avoiding all these ganks. The smoke this time from CDEC might be able to find them something, but it's really conservative play from Newbee that is costing CDEC these early rotations that they could be using for farming instead.
What's a smart play from Newbee, it seems, is they are wasting so much time. YG forcing in that bot lane. That's going to force CDEC to try and defend that bot tier 3 tower. And at the very least, James will be there on the leaner to clear all those creep waves up. While the rest of CDEC are still looking for a team fight attempt. They've got everything they would want to team fight. They just don't have an opponent. And they will just have to keep farming up the dire jungle. Perhaps they find AQ though. AQ out of position, 1, 2, 3. Gonna jump in with the hoof stop. Moonlight Shadow will come out, but they look to burst him down, and that's exactly what they do. So AQ could not sustain that much damage, and you saw the rest of Newbee coming in to try and help out ASAP. They just weren't there fast enough.
That's a really big pick-off going the way of CDEC, just taking out the biggest net worth here on Newbee's side. It has been a really passive game. We haven't seen the Exorcism actually come up in a while. And we talk about that timing a lot when this DP's here. It almost feels like They aren't maximizing the hero. They're just playing really defensive, which is understandable up against CDEC and their lineup. It's still worrying. You see, we're at 22 minutes in, the mid-tier 1 of CDEC still standing, and the opposing side has a lush DP. Like, there's no reason this tower should still be there, but they're just kind of forced in situations where they can't posture.
Oh, Wizard pops his 10-second BKB to avoid 1-2-3, and look, we've seen this so much. Popping 10-second BKBs to avoid a death is fine. I just don't know if it was worthwhile. Like, is it? I mean, we're only 22 minutes in. Is it that valuable to just? He doesn't have buyback, which I understand why he doesn't have the buyback gold. So it may have given CDEC the opening.
I don't think he was even under threat. Like, he already blinked out when he popped the BKB.
Well, now the Roshan attempt's there. They know the Axe BKB is not available, so it'll be a very easy Roshan attempt. And they also must have now gotten the indication that Newbee just doesn't want to fight. So they go, well, screw it. If you're going to take objectives all game, that's exactly what we'll do. And, well, there'll be no contest. It's just a very easy Roshan. You'll see bot lane again. YG is continuing to force in that bot tier 3 tower. And Eve will come in, clean up and farm up a bit while he can. Now he has an Aegis, so I imagine CDEC will probably want to fight even more now.
Definitely. Not only that, but he also has his Basher up. He's working to finish up the Mjolnir. This troll is getting bigger and bigger as this game ticks on. Newbee, they still maintain a slight net worth lead, but are your heroes going to be keeping up in power? You have that Lesh, you have the DP. These guys spike really early, and we're reaching a point where the mid game is definitely there. You're playing against a troll with a BKB who still has his 10-second charge.
Well, they have smoked up. They've smoked up, they run in. 1-2-3 though, does walk away. Now Eve, he just jumps straight in. He wants the fight. There's the glimpse on Fontaine, but they've got Moonlight Shadow, and the dust was too late. And Newbee will just run away.
Yeah, that's a bit of a wasted opportunity from CDEC. I'm sure Newbee is counting the lucky stars that nothing else was expended there. So, rather unfortunate that CDEC supports were just a bit too far behind to get the dust off. In the end, that does buy them some time. Overall, CDEC still has everything up. They could force another fight if they want to.
I believe Newbee, the reason why they wanted to take that smoke is they finally got the BKB on Fontaine. So they'll still have those 10-second charges up on AQ and Fonte. And they'll go again. So they want to make use of this, but they got scanned down. Perfect scan from CDEC. They won't know the smoke's coming, though. They may think they're still around that area. Though 1-2-3 appears to be trying to break it in Wizard. He jumps in with the call. Arrow, and now Exorcism has been popped. Eve is still running in, though. 1-2-3 has gone down, however. Now they found the Pugner. Can you burst down XM? Oh. Nice Static Storm coming up, but they've got the BKBs already up and running. Eve, Battle Trance. He doesn't pop it. He'll wait out the Aegis. Is James going to be losing his life on the Lina? The buyback's flying out from CDEC, but Wizard again jumping in with the call. Now YZ, he does end up finding that Disruptor. 1-2-3 with the hoofs, some controlling AQ and YG. They've lost Eve on the Troll though. And with that 1-2-3, it's going to be a dieback on the Centaur. An ultra kill for AQ. And you know what, John? I've been saying Newbee don't want to fight a lot. But for CDEC, as soon as you see that Exorcism being popped, I'm surprised you keep going.
You can't sustain the damage there. Even if you have the BKBs up on your cores, your supports are going to be melting to that spell. And it cost them. The Static Storm is pretty big. It just went on top of BKB targets, so it didn't really impact that fight at all. That's the one issue with CDEC right now. They can't afford to play counter initiation with the BKBs up. They have to start these fights on their own terms, catch out a couple of big heroes. Unfortunately, they were the ones caught out with a really good smoke coming out from Newbee, and that does cost them. Even if you just lose your Centaur like that, he's a big part of your fights. He did manage to get the Stampede off, but his impact there was not as big as you'd want. And that is a very big opening for Newbee now. They take out that mid-tier 1.
Wait a minute.
They've got a 7k lead now.
John?
Mm-hmm.
That last team fight, Eve did not pop Battle Trance, and I don't believe he popped BKB.
No. He did pop the BKB. He didn't pop Battle Trance because I believe even if he did get it off, he did get Calling Blade in the first time, and if he dropped low enough, he just get Calling Blade again.
I see. Fair enough. Wizard, mid lane, gets glimpsed back into the kinetic field, but will just blink out of there. Newbee, certainly in the driver's seat now with the 7k net worth lead, and they look to try and push the limitations of this draft, but Looks like for them, it'll be a bit more farming to go as AQ. He wants to shiv his guard up. YG may just be getting a pipe on the Mirana now as he does pick up the Hood of Defiance. And yeah, he's got the whole pipe queued up. But CDEC, they do find Faith. Static Storm committal is there, but now they may just fight on the side of Newbee as Eve pops the BKB. He does find the support Ogre. That's a lot of committal though for just an Ogre.
It definitely is. At this point, it does feel like CDEC, they want to be finding any kills they can get. They have to still build up. You can still see the power coming out from Newbee, especially with those BKB charges up. You can't get the control on those key heroes. On your own side, you've only got really one BKB on your troll. Everyone else is still going to be melting to the rest of their lineup. So it is concerning in these team fights. You want to be able to build up some more on Eve, who isn't quite there yet. Surprisingly, it just feels like the damage isn't great yet, the control isn't great, his sustain is really not there without any sort of lifesteal. He is working towards that Satanic next to give him a bit more as these teamfights break out, but you have to worry about that axe. Like, Wizard has been on point with the calls, just constantly taking away the presence of Eve, which is massive. All of their gold is riding on Eve right now.
And Eve trying to pick up that Satanic. With that Satanic, it's going to be very important. That way, once you do pop the Battle Trance, you won't be so susceptible to the dunk of the axe. Meanwhile, top lane, James was pushing out. He'll just TP back to his tier 1 up at top. Excuse me, he was TPing just on a creep. He doesn't have a tier 1 anymore. Newbee just going to take their time. 29 minutes in now, they've got a 6k net worth lead remaining. Dota Plus is saying they've got a 76% chance of winning this game out. And as it stands right now, that does seem fairly accurate.
It's down to the fact that CDEC has not really mitigated the damage coming out from Newbee. So all 3 heroes still melt, even if the troll won't melt straight up. But your Centaur is really exposed. He didn't go for the pipe as well, going for that BKB next. Your supports are really susceptible, and you are in a rough spot. You've lost a lot of map control. Newbee has still met their timings in terms of control, and you are in a rough spot. You just lost the Aegis. You're going to have to wait for that objective to respawn if you're going to force anything out, although Fonte...
Victoria gonna get caught out. Still, Fonte, does he get punished? No, he absolutely does not. He just gets an easy pick. Nobody from CDEC was around the area to try and jump him. Well, they take advantage as the 30-minute batterings are up, and it does seem like Newbee will be able to find 3 to 1. So a lot more gold going to the way of the die once again. They are just going to consistently keep pushing this out. Wizard was trying to find a kill on the mid lane, but realizes there is a sentry, so his invis just became useless. He's going to run into the jungle anyway, see if he can find some kind of solo pick-off for his Dire's side. CDEC will not have any of it though. They'll back off, back towards their tier 2 tower. The Wizard though, still jumps in. BKB used very quickly in reaction. But Wizard probably still going to be very happy. I mean, he got the BKB usage. He can force down the tier 2 tower now with no team fight. And even then, they may go for a tier 3. You have Exorcism available. You know the BKB's on cooldown, but no, they'll go back. Perhaps wanting that final tier 2 on the top lane. Maybe even the Roshan attempt. Problem is, Roshan is not going to be available for a bit.
Yeah, that's a clean trade coming out for Newbee. We're very happy with that use on the troll, of course. And it's going to be really hard to force these fights. I mean, they had a bit of a window. The BKB is going to be off cooldown in a bit. That is a really fast Rosh. It's already up, so that's going to be a quick take from Newbee. There is no vision from CDEC, so they might not be aware this is going on right now.
It certainly feels like they're not. They do get a nice scan out though. So now they are aware. Do they fight? BKB going to be up in 2 seconds. I mean, you have it on the troll. The Roshan, though, is at half HP. They're slowly making their way up, and they'll go on to Faith. YG, though, going to blink out and try to harass them out. But, no, Newbee, they are not taking this team fight. They Moonlight Shadow. They walk out of there. And it is a very scary team fight to take. When you're up against a Centaur, definitely don't want to stick around in that Roshan pit too long. But CDEC, they will smoke up themselves and run straight into YG. They do not find the hoof stomp, and the glimpse was not great. With that Newbee, do they turn it? Yeah, they do. Wizard, he jumps straight in with the call. It looks like they have found the troll. Can they burst him down fast enough? Not quite. The Stampede is there, but no. Fonte finds Eve on the troll warlord, and now 1-2-3. He's chasing Wizard. He can't keep up, though. He's completely surrounded. He gets Yule's up. Fonte's there with the follow-up stun, and now Wizard will jump in with the dunk. And, well, AQ is extremely far forward. Eve will buy back and help take him out. And that's going to kind of ruin the kind of comeback that Newbee just made. They could have gone for the Roshan with that AQ Death Prophet. Not so much anymore.
Yeah, and they lost Exorcism there as well. That was a bit unfortunate. It almost felt like 1-2-3 was getting what he wanted. He took the entire team with him while he was chasing Wizard, and that was enough to get them that kill in the DP. This is going to be the Roche going the way of CDEC. That is a big swing towards the Radiant side. That's Cheese and Aegis now on Eve. It's going to be much harder to kill off this troll, although it has been fairly straightforward for Newbee with the excellent calls coming out from Wizard. It's a bit worrisome seeing this coming out from Eve. He has to really be able to gauge when to pop that BKB. The usage has not been as on point as you'd expect, but Newbee's aggression has really just fed into CDEC quite well. The guys just don't know how to respond just yet. It looks like they are a bit rattled. Like, you get Eve jumped in by a beautiful call, he's just suddenly taken out. You don't even lose your axe there. And the only reason you lose AQ is because everyone else ditched him to chase the Centaur. So, overall, it's still looking really good for Newbee. This Aegis is going to be buying some more time for CDEC to try to build up, though.
Newbee, pop the Moonlight Shadow, go straight up to that top lane. You know where CDEC are. See if they can win out this team fight again. They still do have a very nice net worth lead remaining on their side of things, but CDEC has the high ground. They seem to know something is awry. As XM going to get caught out on the Pugner. Arrow will connect and they jump in straight away, though Aeon Disc will save him for now. CDEC, though, are not coming in to help, or maybe they are. Stampede is there, Eve rushing forward. XM trying to get out of there. They go straight onto Wizard on that X, but AQ is continuing to chase this Pugner. They'll find XM, and now Eve pops the BKB. Double hoof stomps there. They'll burst down one. YG getting chased down by 1-2-3 now. Eve going straight after Fonte on the Lesh. Newbee, they don't want a part of this anymore. Though YG has been left behind, but now CDEC's on the retreat as Newbee, they jump back in. It's a turn once again as Eve is going to lose his Aegis. You still have the exorcism going. Do you want to fight if you are the Dire? Apparently not, as it is about to run out. Faith going to be able to TP out of there just in time. AQ doing the exact same and he'll get out. So both sides have all their players up after a buyback or two. And we still sit at a bit of a stalemate.
Yeah, it's still a good win from Newbee. They do manage to force the Aegis down as well, so they're going to be in a very good spot now. We are seeing a change up from Eve. Instead of the Satanic, he is shifting out towards a Nullifier, and that's going to be massive. Just taking away the capability of the BKB coming out is huge. I have to say, I'm actually really surprised with how the cores of CDEC are doing. Like, XM, it went full aggression. His defensive item is that Aeon Disc, which is great. It almost feels like they need BKBs on everyone. Just get BKBs on all of your cores, and suddenly the issue's rectified. Like, we saw how much more 1-2-3 was doing when he didn't get bursted down immediately. He just popped his BKB, ran in, stunned everyone, was doing a lot more work. I'd like to see the same from XM. The Aeon Disc did buy him some time. It doesn't feel like it's enough time, though. So I'd like to see that shift out from him. But it does look like he is keen on getting some more mobility and getting some more burst damage, which does help. Like, you want to maybe delete someone if you get a good jump on them. The issue is, right now, CDEC has not been starting these fights that favorably. It's always been a bit of an even back and forth.
CDEC. They'll go back to farming. Newbee will maintain that 10k that they have in advantage. The win probability has basically stuck around the same. 79%. It's only gone up by 1 for the side of Newbee as they do find James. James, going to be a very easy pick-off. Wizard will go ahead and find another dunk, and it's going to be his 9th kill of the game on the axe. And perhaps without that Lena, you force another team fight and try to force the buyback. It's not bad timing either, as Fonte, he does have the full Octarine core up now on the Leshrac. And they look to rush in with that Moonlight Shadow. See if you can find somebody, and they found Eve on the Troll. They also found a Courier Arrow. Gonna be very, very easy to dodge though. Wizard jumps straight in, found Victoria on the Disruptor, and will just take him out.
That was a bit perilous for CDEC. If they lost that Courier there, that would have been the nullifier of Eve gone and his buyback gone. I mean, the buyback gold at the very least for the next 2 minutes, just absolutely gone. And he wouldn't really be happy about that. Fortunately, they do manage to get the item out, although 1, 2, 3, force the BKB.
Not the best BKB usage. He doesn't go for the TP yet. He wants to stay up at that top lane, apparently, although no, he will blink TP. Fair enough. Fonte will just push out the top lane. Nothing too big of a deal here for him on the Lesh. And it looks like they might just finally go after that top tier 2 tower that's been standing there for quite a while. I mean, why not? Newbee, they know they have the advantage here, at least in gold. I mean, they don't know about the nullifier on Eve, but even with that nullifier, I'm not sure if CDEC have enough to fight back if Newbee fully commit for a team fight.
It really depends on what targets they can clear out with that nullifier first. If Eve can clear out the DP before anything else comes out, I think you can easily take that 4v5 without the Exorcism running around being a lot of havoc. And
B.
It's just a bit.
Sorry, John, you're breaking up a bit. Might have to get you to reset the Discord, but I'll take over while you're doing that. In Newbee, they're just farming up anyway. There's not really much going on. They did find that top tier 2 tower. That's really it. They're going to wait out their opportunity, see if they can find a pick-off first. And while that's happening, CDEC, they just smoke up, try to find a pick-off as well on the Dire side. Looks like they won't be so lucky though, as nobody is farming the Dire side jungle. That should indicate to CDEC where Newbee are right now, but it's not like you can really do much about that. You're just going to have to kind of wait this out, perhaps wait for the high ground attempt, try and push this game back their way. And while they're waiting for that, just keep farming up if you can.
Yeah, it's a slow game for CDEC. They can't quite find that advantage. Newbee's just pressing it way too hard. Smoke coming out now from Newbee should be able to get them one clean pick-off if they do find the right target. That is going to be massive. CDEC's going to have a really hard time holding that high ground.
Right now, they're running straight towards Victoria. Looks like they will go down south a little bit. Trying to find somebody farming those camps. Again, they also won't be very lucky with this smoke attempt. But Victoria does show his face. He goes for the Static Storm, but gets used up by Fonte. And that's going to be another easy pick-off onto the Disruptor. And, well, Victoria, he actually committed that Static Storm just to clear out a creep wave. That's the name of the game. It just seems like CDEC now are just trying to buy as much time as possible.
They definitely are. They just want to slow this game down. They are riding off the back in the hopes of Eve really just taking over so far. I mean, he's about to hit his 25, so I guess that's a nice big swing for them. He does get the spell on the Battle Trance. That's pretty big for him. I have to point out the talent usage as well. You look at XM, he went for 25% life drain heal over decrep duration. In this case, it does feel okay because you don't have any physical person just right-clicking down. At the same time, you're not getting too much heals out, mainly because there is that Spirit Vessel from Armorana. YC has been really good with that usage and just slowing down whatever you can get from CDEC. I don't know how much value there is in that life drain heal when the Spirit Vessel's just slowing down all your heals anyway.
I have to agree with you on that. is a rather well played from YG with that vessel usage. It's a hard decision though for XM. Like he's gonna pick one of those talents, and neither one really looks good right now. But he just chose the better of the two bad picks. As Fontaine gonna show up mid lane. Eve will kind of do the same. Eve is definitely trying to bait out for his team, but now the Moonlight Shadow's popped. You don't know where Newbee is, and as I say that, there is a Sentry Ward there. But Newbee actually going to run straight up towards that top lane and try to force in the tier 3, it seems. That's exactly what they do. They force out the Fortify. CDEC forced the Fortify because they weren't there to defend. And Newbee, it's another little tool taken away from the Radiant side. They'll back off and wait for another day.
Yeah, it's a very patient game coming out from Newbee. They've basically just shut down the entire map anyway, so there's no way CDEC can build up fast enough, it seems like. You are seeing Eve slowly inch towards that Satanic, but it's a long way to go. They just don't have enough space to farm up safely. Newbee has definitely shut this map out for him.
Yeah, well, they do find Wizard, but Wizard does react very quickly and blink away. Glimpse. Not going to bring Wizard down to the low ground, and he's just going to be able to run out. Now, they might just try and turn this, as he does have a Shadow Blade. He does go invis. Spots out the side of CDEC. Calls straight onto Victoria. They want that Disruptor gone. That is exactly what's about to happen, though. No, Laguna on AQ and Eve on the Troll. Take him out, and now Wizard going to go for a bit of a run, but he gets ensnared up. Glimmer Cape will help for now. They've slowed him up. LSA barely doesn't land. XM with the Dagon, but it does not work out. But still, 1, 2, 3. What a hoof stomp coming out. The Life Drain as well. Faith trying to make a run for it. 1, 2, 3, and Eve gonna be on his tail. Where's the detection? There it is. Arrow will not connect, but Faith has been glimpsed up anyway. They do find 3 massive picks, as it was just all about bursting down that Death Prophet, and once the DP was gone, nobody from Newbee wanted to fight.
Yeah, it's a big win for CDEC, and that's what we've been talking about for a very long time. If you get the jump on AQ, suddenly these team fights are much more manageable, and they do that. They follow up on the call from Wizard that did not catch Eve. You jump in, the Exorcism was popped, he had no way of living through that, and suddenly CDEC's looking to be in a very good spot. They turned that net worth advantage down to just 2k for Newbee. That's a massive swing going their way. They get the Aegis. They should be able to at least pressure a lot on a tier 3. Whether or not they can clear it out is another question. But that is the Exorcism down when AQ respawns, so the team fight from Newbee is not going to be as strong.
It's going to be a massive change for CDEC as they do move in. You've got the hard up on 1, 2, 3 as well as the Aghanim Scepter Blessing. Newbee, how do they respond? They won't buy back on the axe quite yet. Wizard, he in fact does now, but the tier 3 is already down, and CDEC may still fight this Wizard. He jumps in, doesn't find the call in time. Now CDEC taking all that net worth back, and you look at this graph, it should be up about this line right now. The net worth graph, that is. It hasn't updated quite yet, but that is going to be a massive swing, and there it goes. The win probability suddenly shooting up as well, back towards CDEC. And all it took was 1 team fight and 1 tier 3 tower.
It's just that easy to turn this game on the flip of a head. Both sides are really riding off the back of 1 hero each. For Newbee, they're putting all their hopes on AQ. For CDEC, they're putting all their hopes on Eve. And Eve now has that Abyssal Blade as well. So on demand, he can just stun lock someone to death. And that is really big. That's the exact control they need to get down on one person. As this game ticks on as well, you have to remember, if Victoria actually hits his 20, he can slowly build up to an Ags, and that is going to shift all these team fights on its head, because that's a massive amount of control going onto this Disruptor. With that Static Storm Ags upgrade, it's basically an AoE Doom.
Wizard jumps in, call on the scent, but he is so tanky with that heart. Can they burst him down fast enough? 1, 2, 3. He pops the BKB. Fonte gonna make the chase. They pop the exorcism. Here comes the troll though. Eve wants to protect that centaur. Stampede was already committed. He's gonna make the fight now. He'll lose his Aegis to the troll. Maybe not. He gets the battle trance off, but there's the Yules coming out to stop all that. Eve still moving forward with 1, 2, 3 and the hoof stop. Nullify now. Wizard jumps in for the call again. 1, 2, 3 being taunted up. He wants to get out of there. The exorcism, it is going to wear off soon. Maybe Newbee will not continue, or maybe they will. XM does not get arrowed. They miss. James, though, Spirit Siphon is there on him, but he is still alright. Meanwhile, in the back, they're going up to Faith on that Ogre. Wizard, nice call. He's caught the troll now. They've got to burst him down, but he's getting healed up by the Pugner. Eve's just going to keep moving forward. He has his Nullifier available if he needs it, but that won't matter as 1, 2, 3 going after Fontaine. There's the Laguna. James has had enough of this Leshrac. He'll just burst him down. And CDEC, they find one. I mean, it was a 2 for 2 in the end with one buyback on each of the position 5s. They got the Aegis on Eve down. They lost their Leshrac in the process, and it looks like CDEC may try to force the buyback from that Lesh.
They understand this is an opening. They don't have the exorcism up on Newbee. That's a full minute where the team fight's much weaker. And that they can definitely abuse that. They're just going to go on this high ground. Newbee is going to be hard-pressed to contest this.
1, 2, 3 will get started. It's a slow process, but once XM comes in with the Nether Blast, it becomes a hell of a lot easier. They're not risking anything. They're going to take this slow, but they're going to get the job done. Newbee holding on to that buyback. Fonte realizes that there's no need to buy back as they've probably already lost the racks anyway. YG just going to slow it down as Eve. Going to move in. Starts the right clicks from a range. That'll be the mid racks. Do they go for more? Well, yeah, the Leshrac still hasn't bought back. So either force the buyback or just find another tier 3 tower. 1, 2, 3, he'll jump in. Newbee, Wizard, they'll call. Arrow is going to connect as well. YG, he'll move in, but the Sen again is just so darn tanky. He's got so much backup waiting in the back. Another arrow from YG. It's going to be no good. Now Glimpse, they found the Mirana. Kinetic field, 1, 2, 3, nice Yule's dodge on the hoof stomp, and now they jump in. Call is there from Wizard, 4 stuff out on the set, but he's dropping quite low. He's forced to stampede out of there. And Newbee, they did pop the exorcism. Eve, he says thank you very much. He uses the nullify and runs in. Though nice call from Wizard once again. Battle trance is there though. It looks like AQ will die, but they get the dunk off onto the troll, and with that they'll buy back on AQ. Try to punish as much as possible as they do find XM. It looks like XM will end up going down, and now perhaps even find the Sen as 1, 2, 3. He's been left alone. He is surrounded and he is gonna die.
I'm really surprised. Where's that fight? And he doesn't do it.
Sorry, John, you're breaking up again, John. I apologize for interrupting. We'll see you very soon, though, as I'm sure you have plenty to talk about as to why that team fight did not go CDEC's way. Still, they did find the mid racks. They found the bot tower. So you've got a bottom racks opened up for the side of CDEC now. Newbee definitely want to try and force these buybacks though while they can, because they had to commit so many buybacks themselves. They've got to try and force them out, otherwise CDEC will just run down through the bot lane once again. You do have a refresher orb coming out on AQ, so now Exorcism suddenly going to be available for this mid push if they wish to use it. Just being brought out on the courier for AQ. And they'll move in. That tier 3 is the objective, and they won't even need the Exorcism as long as Fonte can just Diabolic Edict. That'll be the first buyback from XM. They still want more. They especially want that Eve buyback. Tier 3 does go down. They may also allow that mid-rax to just end up dropping. And it seems that is exactly what they do. They'll let it go down. Newbee, they'll transition down to the bot lane. And it feels like an exact repeat of what just happened up in Newbee's base.
Radiant's top shrine is under attack. Radiant's top shrine has
They will
fallen.
grab the top shrine as well. Roshan not going to be available for at least 35 seconds. Double Death Prophet ultimate is going to be up though. 1, 2, 3 gets caught in the call. Arrow will connect as well. 1, 2, 3 he's gone forward way too far. And nobody is there to help at all. He'll have to buy back as the team fight has started. Eve, he goes straight on to YG. They'll find that kill, but Wizard again with the call. AQ will pop the refresher. Exorcism will come back out, and it looks like they've lost Eve. He's going to have to buy back on that troll right here, right now, though he will not, as the rest of his teammates are getting caught out. He'll get the buyback now. He'll TP down to the bot shrine. 1, 2, 3, a nice hoof stomp, slowing down the side of Newbee. Can they get the dieback on YG at least? It looks like they will be able to find the Mirana. He'll be down for 2 minutes. 1, 2, 3. Gonna try and look for more on the Centaur. Can he find the TP cancellation?
Is under attack.
No, he cannot. Went for the double edge instead of the hoof stomp though. Regardless of that, they got the Mirana dieback. I imagine they should be able to go for a push here. Roshan isn't going to be available for another minute and a half anyway. In CDEC, they are headed that way. See how well Newbee can defend this 4v5. They don't have any form of exorcism available anymore either, as he did use both in that last engagement.
Dire's top tower.
This game could just be over. The CDEC are taking their time with this. Wizard, nice call. Bring 1, 2, 3 back. Try and find the dieback on the Centaur now. In fact, they might just, although static field, and well, they just burst down Wizard. He'll have to buy back immediately, and Fonte gonna try and chase. Stampede will be there. CDEC actually are gonna back off. I'm kind of shocked by that. If you found another kill on Wizard, he'd have no buyback available. I mean, Roshan still isn't available either. It's going to be up in 20 seconds. I mean, we know they play rather safe. That was one of the best options they've had for a long time. They do end up finding the Dire Courier around that Roshan pit, and that Dire Courier was just scouting out the Roshan. Make sure CDEC wasn't just taking it. Well, Newbee, they've smoked up. Straight towards 1, 2, 3. Find the Centaur once again. He is very tanky though. He's not going down quite far as Eve. Gonna run in with his own BKB, but kind of runs in a circle, runs out. They just don't want to fight into the DP ultimate. So they force it out. They'll see if they can catch Newbee on the tail end of the retreat. But Victoria now going to be the one caught. He has Static Storm. He doesn't want to commit it. Kinetic Field is not going to be there either as 1, 2, 3 finds Wizard on the axe. Now they find the Static Storm. AQ and Fonte going down. Faith, he's trying to find some sort of punishment, but it's just a support Ogre. Now the Mirana needs to get the hell out of there. And Fonte, he's already brought back on the Leshrac, but you don't have one on the Death Prophet. You don't have one on the Axe Wizard either. And CDEC will take the advantage. They go straight into that Roshan pit. The only man with a buyback left is the Ogre on the whole map. CDEC will confirm the 4th Roshan of the game going down for themselves. Aegis will be given to Eve, of course. He'll put the Satanic in the backpack. He doesn't want that for now. Meanwhile, they give XM the Aghanim's upgrade. Where's the Refresher Orb gone? Or rather, Refresher Shard. Looks like they do give it to 1, 2, 3. So you have the Stampede available, or rather double Stampede. CDEC gonna try straight for that tier 4. They want to finish this game out. It's already been 56 minutes. They'll grab one tier 4 very quickly. They'll go for the other, and the Ancient will be exposed. Though Fate gonna run in with the Fire Blast. Arrows do connect on Victoria. They want that support disruptor first, but he's just outrunning them right now. Meanwhile, the Ancient's just going down. Newbee. They chased the disruptor. They forgot their Ancient. And it's not like they had much of a chance with only 3 heroes anyway. But a rather interesting way of finishing this game off. CDEC just focused down the objective. That was it. 57 minutes in, they do take game number 1. Of course, this is a best of 3 lower bracket final, so we will have the second game coming up very soon. And John will be back with me for that game too. He's just trying to sort out his internet. But for now, it is MLP Dota and John X Fire. We'll see you guys very, very soon for that game number 2. Won't be too long.